Good evening, every pony. Adventure awaits in today's story, so let's begin this episode of FIM Fiction Roulette, a series where I go through the annals of FIM fiction, take a random story and a random chapter from within said story, if applicable, and read it aloud for all of you to hear. We are reading a crossover of Digimon and ponies. I have never watched Digimon, nor have I played any games of Digimon. I have nearly zero knowledge over the subject. But what surprised me was that, in the tags, violence and death were listed. Okay, well, Digimon fighting Digimon is probably where the violence comes from. But death? Do the Digimon not have a Nurse Joy equivalent to heal them, or is it just a permanent game over if they lose? Tough world out there for them. I'm going to be even more shook if it's not the Digimon dying, but rather the ponies in the crossover. Regardless, I am excited to see what this new world has in store for us. As always, we'll start with the introduction and then head into our selected chapter, which will be the latest one released. Without further ado, this is Digimon, the Equestrian Digital Force EDF, by Twin Swords 79. There's a secret agency located in Equestria that not many creatures know about, the Equestrian Digital Force, or the EDF. Their job is to make sure that they can keep the peace of equestrians and Digimon by getting Digimon who appear in the equestrian plane back to their home in the digital world. Their job is also to keep Digimon a secret from the public. But one day, the cocky and tough teenager, Rainbow Dash, came across a Digimon that will change her life. Anthro. Cover by Davidson. TV inspiration Digimon Data Squad. My fave. And now on to Chapter 6, Meet the Dashes. 9 a.m. Dash Household. Rainbow was sitting on her bed just watching Vmon stuff his face with all the food she bought for him at the convenience store. She was not really amused. Vmon stuffed 2 whole brownies in his mouth and chewed them up pretty loudly, but at least he was chewing with his mouth closed. He swallowed them and smiled at Dash.
Wow, Rain, if all this is what you ponies call junk food, then I'm happy to be a garbage dump.
He grabbed a cup of instant ramen that Dash already prepared for him, along with some chopsticks, and he began slurping up the wet noodles loudly. Rainbow kept watching him with an annoyed expression.
He can only eat Digibites, huh?
Rainbow said to herself.
This guy would eat anything I give him. On the plus side, at least he's not picky. Dash, are you home?
Called a mature female voice. Rainbow gasped.
Oh, crap.
She grabbed Vmon, who kept holding the ramen very tightly in his hands, and put him in her closet.
Stay in there, and this time, keep very quiet.
She also brushed all of Vmon's snacks into the closet with her foot before closing the doors. She could still hear Vmon slurping his noodles loudly.
If you gotta slurp quieter than that.
The mare knocked and opened her room door and saw Rainbow was standing with her back facing against her closet doors with a nervous smile on her face. Her name was Windy Whistles. She wore an open orange zip-up jacket with a green collar over a white t-shirt, white jeans, and black flat-heeled shoes.
Rainbow! Hi, Mom,
Rainbow said nervously.
What's going on?
Well, you're busted. That's what's going on, Missy.
I've been worried sick.
Where the hell have you been? Exclaimed Windy, crossing her arms angrily.
I've been hanging out with some friends,
Rainbow lied, sweating a bit out of nervousness. Rain, I know when you're lying to me, the mare replied, leaning in a little bit, which made the teenager lean back.
No, trust me, Mom. I've been spending time with some friends from school.
Rainbow spurted out slightly, her mother slowly leaning away from her face. Windy sighed and grabbed a mirror from Rainbow's dresser and put it up to the teen's face, showing her reflection to her. Rainbow saw that she had a small black and blue bruise under her right eye, most likely from Vmon when they were fighting. I don't know if you think I'm stupid, Rainbow, Windy stated. You have been fighting again. Every time you leave this house to hang out with friends, you always come back with some bruise, cut, or scrape. I know you've been getting into fights, but lately, all of this fighting you're doing is too much. What's going to happen if the police come knocking at the door with you in handcuffs because you can't control your temper, or you, God forbid, punch someone without thinking? Rainbow fell silent at her mother, slowly lowered the mirror, and put it on the dresser. She took her daughter's hand and went to guide her to the bed. Dash was slightly hesitant because she's worried Vmon might fall out of the closet at some point. But she knew if she fought back against her mother to stand in front of the closet again, she'd get suspicious. They both sat down on the edge of Rainbow's bed, the mature Pegasus looking at her daughter. Dash, I understand that you miss your father dearly, but all of this fighting isn't going to make it any better. Why don't you tell me what's going on?
Mom, it's complicated. You wouldn't understand.
Rainbow replied hesitantly, looking down at her feet. I know I wouldn't understand, Dash, because I'm not you. I don't have any idea what you're feeling right now, but I know that Bo's disappearance is hard. It's hard on all of us. Wendy put her hand on her daughter's back. The best thing we could do right now is to be strong and stick together, all three of us. Rainbow softly smiled and nodded in agreement, knowing that her mother was right. Wendy smiled back and kissed Rainbow's head, ruffling her mane as she stood up. I'm going to start cooking dinner in a few minutes. She then left Dash's room, closing the door. While eating, Vimon watched through the slits of Rainbow's closet and listened to the whole conversation, whispering to himself,
There's 3. Who's the 3rd?
He was about to exit the closet, but he quickly stopped when he heard another knock at Rainbow's door. Rainbow looked at the closet and held up her hand at Vimon, signaling him to stay there.
Come in.
The door opened to show a 12-year-old orange Pegasus filly with a short purple tomboyish mane and long tail. She wore a black open hoodie with a bright green t-shirt underneath, green cargo shorts, and black sneakers.
Hey, Dash, is it okay if I borrow your bike?
Oh, sure, Scootaloo, Rainbow replied with a small smile at her, feeling a little better after the talk she and Wendy had.
Great.
Scootaloo went over to Rainbow's closet.
Is your bike helmet in here?
Rainbow gasped and stood up, holding her hand out towards Scootaloo when she grabbed the closet doorknob.
Wait!
But it was too late. Scootaloo opened the closet and Vimon tumbled out of it. He landed right on top of the 12-year-old, which in turn caused her to fall onto her back with a thud, some of his snacks landing on either of them or the floor. Scootaloo looked up at Vimon's big red reptilian eyes, and the Digimon was looking back into her grayish-purple eyes. There was a moment of silence in the room before Vimon broke it.
Hello?
Almost on cue, Scootaloo screamed at the top of her lungs. She punched Vimon straight in the face, and the Digimon grunted in pain, getting off of her and running out of Dash's room.
Mom! Rainbow was hiding a giant blue dragon monster in her closet!
Yelled Scootaloo. Rainbow quickly got up from her bed and covered Scoot's mouth with her hand. The filly was squirming as she picked her up and threw her into her closet, and closed the doors, then quickly put her desk chair on the knobs so Scootaloo couldn't get out.
Rainbow!
Yelled Scootaloo as she was banging on the doors with both hands.
I hate it when you do this!
Rainbow quickly raced out of her room and ran after Vimon, windy whistles coming out of her room and not seeing the Cyan Pegasus and the Digimon run downstairs.
What's with all the shouting?
While running down the stairs, Vimon lost his footing on one of the steps, which caused Rainbow to run into him and lose her footing. Both of them tumbled down the rest of the stairs, hitting the front door, which caused it to swing open. Rainbow and Vimon were both lying on the ground, groaning in pain. Wendy and Scootaloo ran toward the stairs, and Wendy gasped as Scootaloo pointed to them.
See? Rainbow was hiding a monster!
Then they saw mint green shoes by Rainbow's head, and they both looked up, seeing that lightning dust was at the front door. The green Pegasus looked down at the unconscious Rainbow and Vimon, putting her finger on her earpiece as she was reporting back to HQ.
This is Agent Dust. I found Dashlyn and Vimon, and it seems that her family is now aware of Vimon's existence. Should I proceed with erasing all of their memories?
Dashlyn. Okay, putting that aside, we got dropped right into a big emotional scene with Rainbow and her mom. It really feels like a movie with the way it's set up and executed. The parent thinks the child is doing a bad thing and has a talk with the kid, while the child and us, the audience, know the real reason. I quite like that. Do you think the dad's the death that happened earlier in the story that warranted the tag, or do you think it was somebody else? Also, the Digimon gave Rainbow a black eye. Like, geez, that is not a great start to the relationship. Next thing you know, it's going to start wearing a wife beater, and it all goes downhill from there. You may or may not know my thoughts on Anthro and fanfiction. I'm not the biggest fan of that decision. I was first surprised by the use of the word foot. I then remembered, oh yeah, there's the tag Anthro. But then I had whiplash when the word mane was thrown out. They have hands and feet, but not just hair. It was probably explained in the first chapter what their bodies look like, but it was kind of fun trying to figure that out during this chapter. Overall, it was good. I'd like to see how these characters got here, and definitely what happens with Lightning Dust and the Dashes. My question for you, my dear viewers, is what do you think happened to Rainbow's dad? Died in a freak Digimon accident? Or did he leave to go on a Pokemon-esque adventure across the globe, never to return again? Let me know. This was Digimon, the Equestrian Digital Force, EDF, Thank you, Twin Swords 79, for making such a wonderful story. The link will be in the description below. And thank you, listeners, for joining me on this exciting adventure. This is Open Air signing off, but don't worry, I'll be back soon with another FIM Fiction Roulette. Wendy smiled back and kissed Rainbow's head, ruffling her mane. Her mane?